I'm Angela. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you for being my accountability partner, my ADHD accountability partner. So you know how everyone, including myself for my entire career, I've included efficient at multitasker. I'm great at multitasking, etc. Well, I actually heard that it's not it's not really a good thing to do. Multitasking is actually bad for production. So, today we are going to do a little research and figure out why and how and what we should be doing instead. Everyone always says to be a multitasker. Add multitasking to your resume. Whoever everyone ends up being. But multitasking is an asset to a business or a position that you're holding in the workplace. However, I recently heard that multitasking is not such a great thing for productivity and accuracy in the workplace. So today we are going down the rabbit hole. I'm going down the rabbit hole so you don't have to. And we're going to find out why multitasking is not considered good anymore. So Google, hey Google. Oh, first I have to pick up my kids at 3, so I'm going to turn this alarm on real quick. Turn on 3 p.m. alarm. Siri's the best. Okay, AI overview says multitasking is no longer considered productive because research shows that it actually reduces your productivity, increases errors, and increases stress as the brain struggles to switch between tasks, leading to slower and less efficient workflow. Now, I have worked in many places, and one of the things that always got me, and I just powered through it, was like the phone ringing, another employee on the team needing assistance, just questions coming up throughout the day, and that is mostly unavoidable. But it makes sense to me how this cannot be productive, because I've always wondered, like, I used to, in my most recent position, I was there for 5 years, I would close my door, I would block it off on a team calendar that, Angela's working on whatever I was doing that day. I would close my office door, I would turn the volume down on my phone so that, one, I wasn't interrupted by the sound of the phone ringing, but also I wasn't answering the phone. Excuse me, hold on one second. But also I wasn't answering the phone, and my team knew if my door was closed, I was doing a time block and to take a message, and I would get back to them as soon as possible. So it makes sense to me why now is coming up as not productive, because that's literally what I would have to do. So here's a more detailed explanation. And then also there's a big truck parking outside in my neighborhood. So if you hear that, that's what's happening. Task switching cost. Detailed explanation of task switching cost. The brain incurs a switch cost every time it shifts focus from one task to another, leading to slower performance and increased errors. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, reduced productivity. Studies indicate that multitasking can reduce productivity as much as 40%. Dang, I didn't realize that. So multitasking can actually reduce productivity as much as 40%, whereas I always thought, that in order to be successful in your career, you needed to be able to multitask. That was just, I have ADHD, so that was just something that I had to be able to do so that I could get into that hyper-focus mode and really hyper-focus without interruption. And that is when I would get so much work done during those times. I didn't get to do it all the time, but if it was allowed in my calendar, I sure took advantage. I can tell you that. Increased stress. The constant need to juggle multiple tasks can lead to increased stress and sense of overwhelm. I can get that. Lower work quality. Just kidding. Lower quality work. Multitasking can lead to higher likelihood of making mistakes and missing important details because focus is divided. Absolutely, that's true. Absolutely, because when you, for instance, are working on a report and you're like eyeball deep into numbers or spreadsheets or whatever kind of report you're doing that day, and then the phone rings Receptionist answers it. Angela, so-and-so's on the phone. Can you help them? Because I don't know the answer. That's generally the questions I got at my most recent position was, Angela, I don't know the answer to this. Can you help them? And of course I did because, team player and all that. But multitasking can lead to higher likelihood of making mistakes. So you would answer the phone, take that call, your brain completely shifts to whatever information the person on the phone needs. So when you are coming back, you're not in the zone anymore. You have to start over. I think I read somewhere separately, and maybe we can fact check this together, but I'm pretty sure I read that it takes 23 minutes for your brain to refocus on a specific task. Actually, hang on. Let me pull up another window here. How long? Question mark. Oh my gosh! I was right. It takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to refocus after an interruption, according to a study by Gloria Mark from the University of California, Irvine. So, there's that. 23 minutes and 15 seconds to refocus once you've switched from task to task. So I was a general manager of a restaurant for a long time, and I remember I'd be up helping at the host stand, and then I would go back and help expo the food coming out, and then a server needs a discount on this table, or this needs to be done, so you're constantly pulled in different directions. Now I will say, as far as the difference between an office setting and a hospitality setting, I will say for me, my brain, I was able to switch tasks more efficiently in the hospitality setting than I was in the office setting. And I believe because, Angela, I need a discount on table 12. Okay, so I go do the discount at table 12 and then I'm done. Angela, can you help expo the food? There's getting a backup in the back. I go and I expo for that amount of time. Somebody comes in, Angela, there's a table that wants to speak with you about the wine list. So now I'm done expoing, at least temporarily, and now I'm going to help the table. So I think because they were so divided, it was a little bit easier for me to switch courses in the hospitality industry. Hold on, my husband's calling. I'll be right back. Speaking of multitasking and interruptions, sorry about that. Okay, so where were we? Oh yeah, I was saying, so in the hospitality industry, for me, it was much different than if I was working in the office and I'm working deep on a project that I'm interrupted and I'm pulled away to do something else, and then I have to go back to that same project. I think it was a little more easier to manage in the hospitality industry than it was in real estate, which is what I was doing before now. So 23 minutes and 15 seconds, that's pretty crazy. So that was lower quality work. I think we did this. Multitasking can lead to higher likelihood of making mistakes and missing important details because focus is divided. Agreed. Cognitive drain. Multitasking taxes the brain, making it less efficient and impacting overall focus and concentration. Memory impairment. Research suggests that multitasking can reduce short-term memory capacity, making it harder to retain and recall information. Oh, interesting. Didn't know that. Single tasking is more effective. Focusing on one task at a time allows for deeper concentration and more efficient completion, ultimately leading to better results. Yeah, so overall, multitasking is not actually that great. I would imagine, particularly for people with ADHD. Why is multitasking not considered productive anymore? All right, let's Google this. How does multitasking affect people with ADHD? Question mark. Multitasking can be particularly challenging for individuals with ADHD due to difficulties with focus, attention, and executive functions, potentially leading to reduced performance, increased errors, and heightened stress. So pretty much exactly like a neurotypical person, except maybe even more, what's the word I'm looking for? Except for maybe even more so. Executive function challenges. ADHD often involves difficulties with executive functions such as planning, organizing, and task switching, which are crucial for effective multitasking. Reduced efficiency and performance. The brain struggles to maintain focus on multiple tasks simultaneously, leading to reduced efficiency and poorer performance on all tasks. Increased errors, we know that. Heightened stress and frustration. The struggle to manage multiple tasks can be overwhelming and lead to increased stress and frustration for individuals with ADHD. Individuals with ADHD may find it difficult to disengage from one task and transition to another, further hindering their ability to multitask efficiently. Inattention and impulsivity. This one might be good. Individuals with ADHD may find it difficult to disengage from one task and transition to another, further hindering their ability to multitask effectively. Okay, well, these are all pretty much the same. Oh no, I read that one. The inattention and impulsivity associated with ADHD can make it harder to stay focused on a task and resist distractions, which are common when multitasking. So it sounds like pretty much the same information for neurodivergent and neurotypical people apply. Strategies for better management. While multitasking can be challenging, individuals with ADHD can benefit from strategies like breaking down tasks into smaller steps, using time management techniques, and creating a structured environment to minimize distractions. Okay, so I'm asking Google now. Are employers becoming more aware that multitasking can be detrimental to work production? Okay, so that's my question. Enter. Yes, employers are increasingly recognizing that multitasking can be detrimental to work production, with research showing that it leads to decreased focus, poor work quality, and increased stress levels, ultimately hindering productivity. Okay. What are some ways that employers can help avoid multitasking to increase work production? Question mark. To combat multitasking and boost work production, employers can encourage focused work by implementing strategies like prioritizing tasks, scheduling focused work blocks, minimizing distraction, and prompting single tasking techniques. Prioritize tasks. Help employees identify the most important and time-sensitive tasks on their to-do list. Now, my most recent employer did do this. We every day prioritized our to-do list. One of the things I ran into, though, was the amount of workload that was happening in this specific office. A lot of the not priority tasks would be put on the back burner, and then every day you're getting higher priority tasks come in, right? So every day those less important tasks were pushed back until ultimately the tasks on the back burner became the priority in not a good way. So that was something that I struggled with. However, I think part of that was due to the overall amount of work that was coming in at that time. So prioritize tasks, create a structured plan. Encourage employees to develop a plan that outlines how they will tackle their workload, focusing on completing one task at a time. See, that's the thing I don't know, because there are so many work settings that I don't know that you can fully complete one task at a time. I mean, it sounds great. I'm just unsure how you could implement that in the workplace as an employer. Now, as an individual, like I said, I came up with my own strategies that helped me, but as an employer, I mean, you would have to turn off the phones. If you're like in a retail setting, for instance, how can you possibly manage that? I guess you can't. So those places, retail, you need the multitaskers. Although you don't want them to forget everything. You don't want their brain to get tired. Set SMART goals. Encourage employees to set specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals to provide a clear framework for task management. So, okay, I'm not sure I know what that means. Schedule focused work blocks. Time blocking. Schedule dedicated blocks of time for specific tasks, creating a focused work environment. Pomodoro technique. I know we've all heard of this. I have tried the Pomodoro technique, and yeah, it is nice. I just, it says work in focused intervals followed by short breaks. I think typically it's like work 1 hour, take a 10-minute break, work 1 hour and take a 10-minute break. That ended up for me being a little too much. Maybe work an hour and a half and then take a 10-minute break, maybe even work 2 hours and then take a 10-minute break. Because when I'm focused, when I'm zeroed in, everyone calls it hyper focus, but I hyper focus big time. So when I'm focused, I don't want to take a break. But are they saying we need to force ourselves to take a break? Maybe. But you know what? I'm going to write that down. I'm going to test that out for you guys again. I have a client tomorrow. I'm a professional organizer, so I have a client tomorrow. So for my clients, I do 4-hour work windows, and I just power through. So I think I'm going to do 2 hours and then a 10-minute break and then 2 hours and then I'll be done. But I'll let you know when I'm doing, maybe stuff around the house. Is it more interruption to go an hour and then take a break and then an hour and take a break? Is it easier to get back on task after that, or is it more difficult? And I'll give you my opinion as to what my experience was with the Pomodoro technique. Okay, I'll do it. Schedule energy, not time. What? Schedule energy, not time. Instead of scheduling time for tasks, schedule energy blocks where employees can focus on deep work without interruption. Interesting. I've never heard of it like that. Schedule energy, not time. Instead of scheduling time for tasks, schedule energy blocks where employees can focus on deep work without interruption. There is this lady, I listened to her podcast. Highly recommend it if you haven't heard of her. Her name is Jenna Kutcher, and she has a podcast called The Goal Digger. And I swear, every time I listen to an episode, it's like that episode is speaking to me directly. And one of the things that she mentions in quite a few of her episodes is deep work sessions. So she'll do, I forget exactly how she breaks it up, but she'll do deep work for like 4 hours in a day. And the other 4 hours are for catching up with emails, returning phone calls, doing an interview if she has that on her agenda. But deep work, from what I understand, can be really beneficial, particularly for people like us with ADHD. Minimize distractions. So this is another advice. Minimize distractions. Silence notifications. Encourage employees to silence notifications on their devices during focus work periods. So, I was not able to do that in my previous job. Again, I was in real estate, so every call was super important. But that being said, since I've left that, I've opened my own business, and I have my notifications silenced 99% of the time. And it is amazing. I do not get distracted by social media, text messages. I do have specific people that are bumped through even with the notifications turned off. My husband, the kids' school, my best friend, my sister, my dad. If any of those people call or text me, that bumps through. And there's a few other people, but I have it set up that way. I will say though, I've been thinking about it recently, and I don't know how beneficial it is to have my notifications turned off all the time. As nice as it is to have that rest on my brain and to not get distracted by my phone and not to have to worry or stress in times when it's like, not needed. I will say having those notifications turned off, I've missed important emails. I've missed reminders for certain things. I've missed virtual doctor's appointments. So, as someone who has had their phone notifications turned off for probably close to a year. There are pros and cons. Maybe I'll do another video about that. Pros and cons. Because the thing is it's not silence. It's not like I have it on silent and I can still see the notifications on the bar. I have it on work mode, so nothing comes through. If you call me, it goes straight to voicemail. If you text me, I do not see the text unless I physically open up the app for my text messages, and then I'll see it. And it's great, mostly. I've missed some pretty important stuff, though, because of it. But I haven't undone it yet because there hasn't been like a catastrophe because of it. But it is something that in the back of my head the last couple of weeks, I've been wondering if I should maybe not do that so much. So minimize distractions, so silence notifications, use website blockers. Consider using website blockers to minimize distractions from social media or other non-work related websites. That's not a bad idea. However, it's been my experience when you do that, there's usually some technical issue that comes along with it, like a site's blocked that you actually need to complete your task. But, you know, that's for them to figure out, I guess, right? Create a distraction-free workplace. Encourage employees to create a workspace that is free from interruptions and unnecessary noise. Limit meetings. Encourage employees to limit the number of meetings they schedule and to make sure they are productive. Interesting. So again, I was in real estate and I would have showings back to back to back to back to back. Okay, so I would come in, check my email, respond as much as possible. My office assistants, they knew not to schedule me before 9:30 because I needed to come in and have 1 hour to return emails, anything urgent that was left from the day before or answer. So my first showing would not be before 9:30 a.m. And I would have back to back to back. So I'd go to like 3 showings, come back, do a little block of work, eat lunch if the time made sense, go back out, do more showings. There were days I was at showings back to back the whole day. So it's interesting that they're saying to limit the number of meetings they schedule to make sure that they're productive, because there were days where I would block off the day, like no showings, because I'm so behind on desk work that I'm never going to dig out of it unless I have a day of no showings, which might be why, now that I'm thinking about it, now that we're diving into this might be what ended my career in real estate, because ultimately there was a breaking point for me. I was so stressed. It was crazy. That's for another day, but it might be because of the multitasking, because I was at showings, back in the office, back out in the field, back in the office, back out in the field, like all day long, every day. Interesting. So that was number 3, minimize distraction. Number 4, promote single tasking techniques. Focus on one task at a time. Yeah, wouldn't it be nice? Practice deep work. Encourage employees to dedicate a block of time to a single task without any distractions. Now, that I agree with. So I really think that is a really good one. I highly encourage anybody who has ADHD or does not have ADHD to utilize time blocks in your workday, because that helped me so much. It didn't cure the problem, clearly, but it helped me a ton when I was trying to navigate my way out of the overwhelm and the sinkhole that I was in. Delegate tasks effectively. When tasks are unclear, employees are more likely to interrupt one another with questions or check-ins. Effective task delegation ensures everyone knows their responsibilities and deadlines, including the need for constant back and forth. Reducing the need for constant back and forth. Love that. There's so many people in my life who could take that tip alone and change the workforce completely. I cannot tell you how many times I've been told, Angela, get this done, but there's no backstory to it. There's no information. I literally would have to ask every single time, instead of saying, Angela, I need you to do this. This is what I've already done, or this is what's already been done, or here's where we are in this task. Here's where I need you to take it. There was not a whole lot of effective delegating. So That would be great. All right, use technology to automate tasks. Look for ways to automate repetitive tasks or delegate them to someone else. I wonder what technology you can use to automate tasks. What tech not automate tasks? Question mark. AI can be employed to automate tasks more effectively. Here are some common AI technologies used for task automation. Machine learning algorithms. What? Machine learning algorithms are trained on data and learn to identify patterns and generate predictions. What? Stop it. Okay, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother video. Machine learning algorithm. Okay, done. We're going to look into that one. Okay. Okay, moving on because I don't even know what that means. Look for ways to automate repetitive tasks or delegate them. So I'm going to research that and I'll let you guys know. Set reasonable expectations for response times. Encourage employees to set reasonable expectations for response time and avoid responding to emails or messages immediately. One, I think that as someone with ADHD, setting reasonable expectation for response times is difficult for me because I do have time blindness, and I swear, pretty much everything I do, I think I'm going to do in a lot amount of time, and then of course a hiccup happens here, I get a roadblock here, this happens, and that is something that I extremely struggle with, is time blindness. So encourage employees to set reasonable expectations for response times would be hard for me because apparently I don't know what that means. And to avoid responding to emails or messages immediately. That being said, that part I think is great because, sorry, I keep looking at the time because I'm going to have to go soon. Avoid responding to emails and messages immediately. I think that's great because one, it gives you time to at least think out what you're going to say. And two, if somebody annoys you in an email, you can come back much more professionally if you don't respond immediately. So, okay, encourage schedules do not disturb time. I did that. That's when I would time block on my calendar. We had a calendar that the whole team could see, and I would block out time. Like, if this is like that, then please don't even come in my office. Encourage employees to schedule do not disturb time to focus on tasks without interruptions. How is that different than time blocking? Or maybe that was, time blocking was in number 2. Schedule focused work blocks. So, encourage employees to take breaks. Oh, wait, no. Encourage scheduled do not disturb time. Interesting, because that's a little repetitive, but that's okay. Okay, so there's a little bit of information on why multitasking can be detrimental to the workplace. Okay, so if you are an employer, please keep this in mind. I know a lot of times it's unavoidable. If you are an employee, please keep this in mind. I know sometimes it's unavoidable, but maybe it's something we should be striving for as long-term goals. Maybe not every day, all day, but maybe 3 times a week. You have a 4-hour block of time that's blocked off, no interruptions. Maybe, twice a week. Did I say that? 2 or 3 times a week, maybe even once a week, whatever makes sense for your workforce. You can do a rotation even, okay, today's my day, tomorrow's Jane Doe's day, the next day's John Doe's day, and then there's a rotation on who gets an uninterrupted time block that day. That would be cool. Something to explore and something to reach for. Okay, I have to go get my kids, but thank you for coming by. Thank you. If you have questions about ADHD, productivity, time management, all the things, please let me know in the comments below because I'm going into the rabbit hole so that you don't have to, okay? So follow along as we kind of figure out why our brains are doing what they're doing. I was diagnosed very early with ADHD, but I know there's a lot of adults that are getting diagnosed as an adult. So There's a lot of information for us to find out. And guess what? The time that we have is not enough. One, two, we don't always remember to use our time wisely and be like, I'm waiting for the bus, or I'm waiting for school to let out. Let me do some ADHD research. No, we're sitting there scrolling. So hopefully you scroll by me, and I'm going to help you manage your ADHD by learning how to manage my ADHD. Ooh, that sounded kind of good. Anyway, let me know if you have questions. Let me know if you want me to research something particular, because I would love to be a resource that you have in becoming more productive and enjoying your life better, because having ADHD is so stressful, and we always feel so alone because we're always hiding it. No one's like, I have ADHD on their forehead, right? Because it's been my experience, fake it till you make it, right? Fake it, fake it, fake it. Pretend you're something you're not until everybody, falls in line and likes you, and then you'll be miserable pretending. That's what happened to me. Anyway, I hope you all have a great day. I hope you have a great week. I hope you, don't multitask too much out there, guys. No more multitasking. It's bad for our brains. Bye.